Okay. So we're continuing interviewing Doris Porr. Okay. So let's go with um, occupation. Describe some of the jobs you had, and what you
Okay,
did. What was your first
my
job?
first job out of high school was typing up insurance policies at 4th and Walnut in Philly, and that
This is the
was
one Grandma said you had to get a job and get the
that's
hell out
right,
of the house.
right. I wasn't even allowed to have a week off after I graduated. Um, yeah, but that was nice. And then my friend Jane couldn't find a job, and finally, about 6 months later, there was an opening in accounting. She was always good with figures, but she didn't graduate from high school, Jane, and it was hard for her to get a job
Mm-hmm.
then. But they hired her because she was my friend, and from then on she worked, and we had a great time. We hooked up with these girls from South Philly, Mary Roselli. She was a tough one, and I forget the other girl's name. And we would even go to their houses in South Philly, and the one her mother was like real old Italian lady, and when she took us to her house, her mother was making these pasta. I forget the name of them. They roll up. You roll them up. They're real little.
Gnocchis.
Yeah, and it was very interesting. Well, when I met up with these girls, we were all tight knit. We'd go across the street to get our lunch, and this is a Jewish man there. He was real funny. He loved us all. We always, patronized him and everything. And he'd say, "That one there packs the gun, Mary Roselli." She did. We all followed.
Did
And
she
so,
pack a gun?
yeah, not really, but she was the leader,
Oh, okay, got
leader
it.
of the pack. But anyway, make a long story short, Mary Roselli belonged to this Little Italy club. Did I ever tell you
What
this
does
story?
that mean? Yeah, go ahead.
Not
Tell me
little,
the
not
story.
little. Sons of Italy. Sons of Italy. It was a club for Italian people in South Philly. You only could be Italian.
Sorry.
You could only be Italian and belong to it.
Yeah.
So she wanted me. Jane's going to join. Jane's Irish and something else. But Jane had, in other words, like I didn't have that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they're talking me into it, and I'm like, and they're saying, "Look, your sister's half Italian. Be your sister." And I went through all this stuff, filled out these papers, and at the end I thought, I can't do this. I'm thinking I'm going to get shot in the head or something. I'm not Italian. So I backed out. But I think Jane backed out too. But we had so much fun with these girls. Well, this Mary Roselli, she's married, but her in-laws don't know it, and her own parents don't know it because the in-laws are paying for her husband's college education. So after he graduates from Drexel, she has a great big wedding. Gets married again like she was never married. And we all went to it. We're all there like, this is weird. You know what I mean? But that's the way she was. She was a character. I still think about her sometimes.
So that was your first job.
Yeah.
Next job, you remember
Next job,
that?
I went to the bank, and it was at 15th and Locust. I worked on the bank floor. I think it was that I typed up stocks and bonds. I wasn't a teller, and that's when I worked there. I met your father, and a couple times he would come in. I
But
think
you
he
didn't meet him there. You met him
no,
at
but
the.
I that's when I had met him, like that period
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
worked there, and he came in a couple times, took me to lunch, and then when um, he had this cousin Roberta. He had a lot of cousins, Dad, because his father was one of nine. But he had this cousin Roberta who worked in town too. She was my age,
Yeah, yeah.
and
She was pretty, wasn't she? Blonde.
yeah, she was all right. But
Who was the blonde lady? Really
that
pretty, his cousin.
that's Bob Wharton. You mean
No, there
no?
was in Long Island. There was a blonde lady.
Oh, I don't know. A few of them were
Oh,
pretty. But anyway, um, what was I going to say? Oh, so after I got engaged to Dad, she calls me up and she wants to meet me. She wants to check me out. So I met her one time at lunchtime. We met. We went out to lunch, and I guess I passed. I don't know. I just felt like I was being interviewed, you know. But so then after that,
Why did she do that?
she was probably nosy, wanted to see
Uh,
what I looked
you
like.
think somebody else didn't send her?
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you that Dot Wharton, that I never really cared for many of Dad's cousins. They weren't really friendly to me, and they weren't friendly to Dot Wharton. And she told me one time, she said, "Well, Doris is the prettiest one in this family." Well, now they really hate me. No, they really, I'm not
Well,
kidding.
I don't,
And
I don't think they were all too much friendly with
no,
anybody.
they were
Period.
weird. In fact, your grandfather Porr, like, he wouldn't brag about them. Do you know what I'm saying? But anyway, after that, uh, I got married while I worked there, and I got pregnant with you. And in those days, when you got pregnant, you were only allowed to stay there 6 months. And I had to sign a paper when I first went there that I would leave in 6 months. Well, Dad and I had this argument for 20 years, and he was right. I should have went to unemployment, and I never did. Like, what would I collect? I didn't make much money then, but it was money. But today they wouldn't get away with that. That's discrimination, you know.
Yeah,
But
right.
so then I was home for like 10 years or more. Dad worked 2 jobs, and then I didn't work till I went to Rock Hour. And when my father died, my mother came to live with me in
Yeah.
1972. I went to Rock Hour.
And what did you do there?
Office work, like I forget. It was in accounting.
How did you get into accounting?
Because when I graduated, I had a like bookkeeping and all that. I was clerical. I was I couldn't do bookkeeping now because I would forget, but that's what I took in high school, bookkeeping, and yeah, and then not funny. I can't do math.
That's why I asked.
I
I'm like, what the?
don't know what the heck I was doing in there. Oh, really? And I had business math, and the teacher would throw out these numbers, and finally one day he says to the class, "Look at Doris." Here I was like, couldn't do it. He passed me. He passed me. I didn't really pass, just to get me out of there, you know.
So that was what, Rock Hour?
Yeah, Rock Hour, and then from Rock Hour, they closed and
And where were they?
had a ball at that place too.
They were, where were
They
they?
were there on Street Road there, right near the firehouse, that big building.
Right. That's next to the firehouse, across from like the veterinary and that Jewish funeral home.
Yeah, I
That
guess.
big Jewish funeral home,
No,
Levin or something.
oh, I don't know. Is that what's there?
There's also a lighting place next to it.
No, this is on Street Road.
I know where it is. Across the street from that.
Okay, right before here's that building, and there's the
I know, it's right next to the Holiday Inn.
Yeah,
Right.
around there.
Well, it's not Holiday Inn no more, but
Yeah.
whatever.
But anyway, then from there, they went out of business. So Dottie, my friend Dottie, and all them got hired at Manufacturers Hanover, who came in that building, and
The same building?
yeah, and then they moved like years later. They moved to that Philmont Avenue.
Right.
Yeah, but when I worked at that Rock Hour, that Leslie DeShant's the funniest person I ever knew.
Well, how old were you when you worked there?
30, 31, 32, my 30s, young.
And then you worked at, Manufacturers Hanover.
Till 1988.
And then what? What'd you do after that?
Well, and then after that, 1988. They said out the gate in 88, and we were. Then where did I go? I think I went, I don't know where I went.
Well, when did you go
I
there?
had a couple jobs, and I didn't. I kind of had a few jobs.
It don't matter.
Yeah,
It don't matter.
but then I finally ended up at Giles and Ransom.
Right.
Yeah, I went there as a temp, and they hired me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. You weren't in the military. I know that.
No, couldn't last a week.
All right. We'll ask you some other questions that I put down.
Okay.
General questions like, kind of important for genetics and stuff like that. Health. What kind of health issues do you have?
Yeah.
Yeah. or have had, that.
Well, all my life I've been pretty healthy. The only thing I had, like when I was a young woman, was migraine headaches, and I
Okay.
had them for 40 years.
Why did you have them, do you
I
think?
don't know. I had that aunt that I mentioned that raised my brother.
Mm-hmm.
She had them.
Okay.
She used to walk around with a rag on her head when I was a child. She finally died of a stroke. Now, whether that was from that, I don't know. But my grandmother found her. My grandmother used to go there and help her, and she went there one time and she was dead already. But
Did she die with you? Did you see her die? Did you say?
no, my grandmother
Yeah.
was dying in front of me, but she died that night in the hospital,
Uh,
and I couldn't go to the hospital then. But that was sad because my mother worked at RCA and she had to come home on a bus. Imagine her mother's dying.
right.
She can't get there quick enough and she's got to come home on a bus and the whole bit. But, oh, and my grandmother that took the stroke, she
Well, we'll
had,
get to them.
okay,
Let's go
all right,
with you. But
all
but
right. So
you
I
can
had
continue
migraine.
telling that story, and we'll get back to you.
All right, my grandmother that had that stroke, all she ever talked about was she was afraid of being blind. I'm not kidding.
Uh-huh.
But I learned later on in life that my Aunt Laura told me that my grandmother's mother had one eye,
Right.
and I don't know what that was about. But anyway, had she lived through that stroke, she would have been blind. Isn't that ironic?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So anyway,
So you.
I had migraines, had heart palpitations as a child. They always said that's nothing, nothing to worry about. But I have them to this day, and now it's a big concern,
Okay.
right? Not a big concern, but it's a concern.
What's the concern?
Well, your heart's working over. You know what I mean? What else?
You got high blood pressure.
Yeah, I had that since I was in my 30s.
Okay.
One time when you two were little kids, I was just telling Tracy this. I took you to the doctor. You had a bad throat or something, and it was Dr. Back, who I loved. He's died years ago, and for some reason I must not. I must have said I had a headache,
Mm-hmm.
and he took my blood pressure. This, you were little kids. That's how long I've had it. And he said, Doris, you should never said that. Now I'm afraid to drive the hell home. But he says, Doris, you shouldn't even be driving a car. Your blood pressure's so high. So from then on, I had high blood pressure. That was, right, if you were a baby, I had to be in my late 20s.
Right.
So that's about all I ever really had until I
What do you
got
got
sick.
now?
Now I have pulmonary
You.
pulmonary heart disease. It's not plaque.
But
It's
didn't you used to have COPD? Is that the
oh,
same
I
thing
have
or?
COPD, but I have it in the first stage. Hasn't moved.
Okay.
I just went to the pulmonary guy a couple months ago. I don't have to go back for a year
Okay.
because actually it has improved. But because I said to him, I don't use the rescue inhaler. And he said, that's because you use that Anora. I do that once a day. I don't know what it does, but it helped me.
Okay.
And so I don't have to go back there for a year. The heart condition concerns me more than that.
Well, what you got eyes issues
Oh
now,
yeah, I
right?
have. I had that was all from high blood pressure. And when I
Explain
first,
what it
okay,
is. What you got?
well, when I first moved here, back here, I couldn't see right, and I had cataracts done and lenses put in.
Well, actually, you had cataracts as well.
Yeah, that's an age thing. But anyway, all of a sudden I can't see right, especially at night. So I went to this Dr. Soul over here right on Durham Road, and he examined my eyes and he said, "You have blood behind your eyes."
Yeah.
And I got to send it to a specialist. So he sent me there, and the specialist said, this has been going on a long time. That's why I couldn't see right.
Right.
So anyway, make a long story short, I've been treating for that for about 2 years now. And I've had 4 laser surgeries, one to get rid of the clots. I don't know if it gets rid of them because he says they're still there, but it does something that doesn't hurt your eyes. So it doesn't hurt my retina. Then I just had done, he told me I had aneurysm behind each eye, and he did laser and sealed that. But I've never had a problem seeing since I went to that doctor.
Right.
And when I go there, they put dye in my arm, and then they put a big camera on you, and they take pictures. You can see it on the screen. You can see your whole eyeball, and the whole room's purple because it's so, you know. But so far, I just went there, and he said it looks good. So,
Okay.
but
Good.
the concern of that is hurting your retina.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know whether that's an hereditary thing or not. I really don't know.
Well,
But I do see signs.
is it related to high blood pressure?
Oh yes.
Yes.
He asked me if I was a diabetic, and I said no. And even when I was in the hospital with a heart attack, I was the only one on the floor that wasn't a diabetic. But anyway, he said it's from high blood pressure.
Yeah, right. I've heard of a couple people like
Yeah,
that.
and you
And
know
I
what?
think I gotta watch that.
Oh
myself.
yeah, and you know what? Don't do what I did. I took the same blood pressure medication for years.
Yeah.
I should have had that checked. You know.
Well, I'm in the process right now.
Yeah.
I don't like to change medications a whole lot because I don't like to get the new stuff.
I know.
Because the new stuff is not tested, and
well, not only that.
And if this is working, why not? I'm right
Yeah.
now. But we're not talking about me right now. So,
no, but so, like when I went on only medication, I felt sick. Like you have to adjust to that too.
So what kind of issues did Dad have?
Dad had okay. Dad had.
Well, when he was a kid, he had
Oh my God, he had
jaundice or
jaundice,
whatever.
Yeah.
But that's a condition of something, right?
Yeah, he had
yellow fever, not yellow fever.
What do you call it?
Rheumatic fever, is that what?
He had rheumatic fever. His mother had that too. He had rheumatic fever. He had, what do you call it when you can't give blood because you had that?
Anemia?
No. Hepatitis.
He had hepatitis?
Yeah, but I don't know
which one.
I don't know which one. It's the one where you can't give blood. He never could give. No,
Okay.
There's only one.
All right.
I don't know whether it's B or what because there's so many.
All right.
But that's what he had. Then he couldn't give blood, and he was a sick kid.
Right.
Always sick. Missed a lot of school.
Right.
And then when he had the coronary artery.
Well, okay. So he's a kid and an adult. He was a healthy adult, right?
Yeah.
You'd say he smoked a lot, right? Just like you.
Yeah.
And then I remember him always coughing.
Yeah, and when he quit smoking, he never coughed.
Okay. And then in his late stages, what did he have? He was diabetic,
which came with the heart disease, though.
Like
the geriatric diabetic.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think you're diabetic first, and then the heart disease comes with that.
I don't know.
I don't. Whatever. So.
Yeah, my mother had that too, but they told him when he. Do you remember this when he had that stent put in here in the heart, the first one?
Yeah.
That when he was young, one never grew, one artery.
No.
Yeah, that's what they told me.
I don't recall that.
Yeah, and they said one artery just remained it was almost closed because it never grew wide.
Mm-hmm.
It was skinny.
Okay.
Yeah. So he must have.
So he had stents because he had a heart attack, right?
Yeah, he had plaque, a lot of plaque.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And
he probably had high cholesterol his whole life.
Yes, and the doctor actually told him, "You manufacture it." Just like they told my mother.
Exactly.
No matter what you do, it
right. But you can change your diet and
but he wasn't
or medication and stuff.
He wasn't about that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he lived to be 70.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, 74.
Okay.
Same age as his mother. Yeah.
And his grandmother was 80 something.
Yeah, right? 87.
Okay, so he had stents.
But his father was only 55.
Well, we'll get to his dad.
Okay.
So he had stents and he had heart disease and diabetes and anything else?
No.
What do you think he died?
I think he had COPD, but nobody ever told him. Because right before he died, he went to this. I had been there too. This place where they test your breathing.
Yeah.
And I kept it, and then I finally threw it away. It's depressing. All the lines were red. He hardly could breathe.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, but he had a bad cold when he.
Plus, he had a bad heart, which ain't pumping. But anyway, that's all I know that he had. Okay.
So then we'll go to Grandma Coring.
Okay.
What did she have?
She had, same as Dad, the plaque.
Right. She was diabetic.
Yeah. Her father was a diabetic like you, a young diabetic. That's about all she had. Oh, she had
She died of a heart attack. What did Dad pass from? What was that? A heart attack or
heart attack, massive heart attack. Yeah, heart failure actually.
heart
That's why he
failure?
was puffed up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was in heart failure for a couple of years.
And what did Grandma Coring
She died of a heart attack.
heart attack?
Yeah,
Okay. I gotta.
yeah.
That's why I carry aspirin.
hmm And they say chew it. I never knew that. It's supposed to chew it,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
swallow.
yeah. Grandpa Coring, what kind of issues did he have?
A Grandpa Coring had
You already said he had
mesothelioma,
mesothelioma.
lung cancer returned to. He
Oh, he
had,
had lung cancer at the end
oh yeah,
too.
Cancer Society gave us all these pills.
Did you just see that they said that we might have the cure for cancer in a year?
No, I hope so.
Okay, but
Well,
so
anyway, he had that, but he had the heart disease he had is like I have. He didn't have the plaque. He had the pulmonary,
okay,
like not enough.
gotcha.
Yeah, but he was smoked since he was
Well, high
9 years.
blood pressure, I would assume. I guess,
Yeah, they
right?
both had that.
But he probably wasn't treated, right?
Oh yeah, he
He
doctored
was.
for it. Yeah, yeah. But he smoked when he was 9 years old till he was in his 70s.
Okay.
That's a lifetime.
Okay.
And that's all I know about him.
And how did he die? How did he pass away? What happened to him?
The leg.
I know, but why did he go in the hospital for? First of all, was it the leg?
Yeah, it started with a red toe.
A red toe.
Yeah.
Why do you think he had a red toe? What was
Diabetes.
Yeah, but what? Why was his toe red? Was it irritated from something? Did he hit it and he didn't know?
I don't know. All I know is he looked at his
So
toe.
it was infected.
Yeah.
His toe was infected, and then he went in the hospital for that.
Yeah.
And then he had gangrene, and
yeah, and they did
took his leg.
They did one time when I went there right after the toe. I went to visit him, and they did this dye all through his body, and he was crying. And he said it was so painful.
Yeah,
He
I've
said he
heard
had
that.
a lot of blockage. Like
Okay.
I don't know whether they were clots or
Probably
what.
clogged arteries, or
Yeah.
and then he passed from a heart attack or just
I think the gangrene just everything stopped.
okay, sepsis maybe, I guess.
Yeah, because they said if they took his leg off, he wouldn't have lived anyway.
Right.
They had too much.
They did take it off though, right?
No.
They never took it off.
No, it was black.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
terrible.
they never took. Yeah.
Okay. Grandma Porr. If you remember anything of what she had.
Grandma Porr. She went in there. I think smoking killed her. Really, she went in there and she kept saying she had this ball. Do you remember her saying that?
Yeah.
And then when we went in there, they about 3 weeks later, they removed a big ball,
Okay.
like a mucus from her throat, and that probably didn't help her either. But
Well, I know they wouldn't remove mucus.
well,
Probably a tumor.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right up here. What is that?
Yeah.
Your thyroid or?
Yeah, or your
Adrenal gland or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Your adrenal gland's down by your kidney, but it's probably her esophagus there. But anyway.
Esophageal cancer, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so she had that.
Yeah, then she had like the flu and never came back.
Yeah, that's what I remember about Dad. He had that cold at the end.
Yeah, he did. And
he
you know
just
what
had
that
it for
was?
a long
that
time.
wasn't a cold.
Okay.
That's heart failure.
Okay.
But we didn't know that. You know what I mean?
So she had the flu for the longest time, and then
yeah, she was in there 44 days in the hospital.
Okay. What was she there for? The flu, for the throat?
Yeah, it just got worse.
She went downhill. How old was she?
74. She died.
Okay,
Same as Dad.
Grandpa Coring was how old?
71.
And Grandma.
No, wait, was he 71 in 1901 and he died in 1972?
71.
Okay.
And Grandma Coring was
79.
Okay.
Lived the longest.
Okay, yeah.
But she just turned 79.
Well, I'll tell you what, her face and all, her skin looked always was good,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was diabetic and she ate well.
Yeah, she took care of herself. And you know what else? She had nice hair. too. No, really, when you
Okay.
take a lot of medicine, you don't.
Yeah.
But she did.
Okay. What do you remember about Grandpa Poor? What kind of stuff did he have? What did?
Grandpa Poor, when I met him, he had, Dad told me that he had had rheumatic fever as a kid. And he worked all his life at Distance Saw. And it got to a point where he was really ill. And he had, like, it left his heart damaged with like a leaking valve.
Yeah.
And it would fill up in his lungs. He died a terrible death. I went to see him. He was skin and bone. He was a little man. He was as big as me. And I don't know how long it took him to die, but he died from that. And they told him they could operate on him,
Right.
but the odds were like 90. She would die at 40. He would live,
Right.
and he wouldn't do it. So I don't blame him. And he died May 26, 1962, 6 months before we were married. 5 months, yeah. But that's all. That's what he had.
And how old was he?
Well, let me tell you, I got to figure that out. He was born 1907,
Yeah.
and he died 1962.
Okay.
55.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't live
That's
long.
how old I was. I am.
Yeah, but he would have lived if he didn't have that. Do you know what I mean? That's.
Right.
In fact, I had a guy did my hair here in Ben Salem. He had the same thing years later.
No, that was genetic, right? I guess. Right.
No, it came from rheumatic fever.
Oh, so the rheumatic fever caused that.
Yeah, and it still does.
I didn't know that.
But this guy I was saying that did my hair,
Yeah.
he was like your age now.
Yeah.
He had it done and he lived because they improved the odds with you. They knew more when they operated on you.
Okay. Well, we're gonna take a break for a minute.
Okay.
We'll go to another topic.